Welcome to Makeshift Productions there. From his book, The Life and Times of a Hollywood Bad Boy there. Today's story is Burn Center Bob, Mitzi, and Billy Joel. Please welcome Pat Mulligan. Hey, 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 hey. Ho-ho.
It was the early 80s, and one of my best friends was a guy we called Burn Center Bob. He wasn't burnt on the outside, he was burned on the inside. Bob's favorite drug back then was Quaaludes. I was doing stand-up at the Comedy Store at the time. Bob wanted to see my set, so I took him. We were a bit early, so we sat at a booth with some other comics. Well, Bob must have taken some Quaaludes on the way because his actions became quite slow and he had to aim for anything he touched. And that wasn't even his drink. But anywho, there was a new comedy improv group on stage trying to get on Mitzi the owner's A-list. The place was packed and Mitzi was sitting at her usual booth surrounded by the usual sycophants. Also at the table was Mitzi's son, Pauly Shore, age 14 at the time. On stage, the lead actor in the group began asking the audience for suggestions. You know, typical stuff. Can I get a place? Can I get a relationship? But when he asked, can I get an occupation, Bob yelled out, Mitzi's coke dealer! The place got so quiet you could hear Mitzi's jaw unhinge. At our booth, the comics fled like rats from a sinking ship. I hid under the table. If Mitzi saw you at this booth, your career as a comic was over. Just then, two of Mitzi's henchmen came over, grabbed Bob, and yanked him outside. Then one of Mitzi's yes men came over and like a pointer dog signaled that I was under the table. And now it's time to go to guilt by association prison. Well, I got bumped that night, and I didn't get a spot at the Comedy Store for quite some time. So thank you, Quaaludes and Burn Center Bob. And besides that, my acting career had gone south for the winter. It was a long winter. And then one day, I auditioned for this variety show for a gig in Osaka, Japan. The agent was a Japanese guy whom I later called Mr. Roboto. He was kind of stiff. In my act, I used a lot of props, shtick, and did impressions, which could possibly work for an international type of show as it crossed over language barriers. Mr. Roboto asked me, you do Jack Nicholson doo-doo? I did doo-doo. Wendy, give me the baseball bat so I can bash your goddamn brains in. Mr. Roboto smiled. Cut to Osaka, Japan, showtime. There were 4 dancers, 2 singers, and me. The younger audiences loved us. The older audiences, not so much. But the weirdest thing, for some reason, many Japanese thought that I was Billy Joel. Now keep in mind, it was 30 years ago, so maybe at the time there was a slight resemblance, or it was just a case of them thinking that we all look alike. But wherever I went, someone would ask, you Barry Jor? At first I didn't understand Barry Jor until I figured out the accent. Oh, Billy Joel. Well, one night I scared up a date. Her name was Nami and she spoke very good English. We were dining at this very busy nightclub and when the waiter asked, you Barry Jor? She quickly said, yes, he's Billy Joel. And before I knew it, there were about 100 people waiting in line to get Billy Joel's autograph. Okay. Then, on stage, the band stopped their music and the lead said, Barry Jor, you come up and sing. Oh, boy. Well, at first I panicked because I actually considered it. Quickly I tried to run Move It Out in my head. Working too hard will give you a heart attack, you ought to know by now. Nah. If I blew it on stage, it would have been a nightmare. So I said, sorry, sore throat. Then the band leader took his drink and made a toast. Kampai, Barry Jor. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, But all in all, my stay in Japan was great. I made some yen. And for one magical night, I was Billy Joel. So, domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo.